This is the Cover 3 Tailgate. And welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Danny Kanell. That's Bud Elliott. I'm Chip Patterson coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe, smash that like, and come and join us in the chat, a.k.a. the Cover 3 Tailgate, where we got some mailbag questions piling up. Fired up to be getting interactive with you here on a Thursday. So Dirty Dog, Nick, Joel, Zach, and more, we will be getting to your questions before we get out of here today. We also are going to be diving back into the big old bag of mail. That's right. If you go and you leave us a 5-star review, and in that review you put a mailbag question, we will tackle it in a future mailbag episode. Spotify comments as well. We will be getting to you as we continue with these Thursday mailbags all throughout the off season. Before we jump into some of these mailbag questions, a little bit of current events. We got the Senior Bowl coming up on Saturday. Okay, Senior. If you want to watch it, it's on NFL Network Saturday afternoon. But our friends Ryan Wilson and JP Acosta are out in Mobile, Alabama. I was checking out some of their content. I recommend you do as well. You guys want a little Senior Bowl report?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You will be thrilled to hear Luke Altmaier, day 2 standout. Let's go. In general, we're not getting a lot of buzz from the quarterbacks, Danny. The big headline was obviously Diego Pavia at 5'9" and 7/8. Yeesh. Garrett Nussmeier's health is a big consideration.
It's more like a subheader, actually.
Yeah. Sawyer Robertson, there was JP and Ryan were a little bit disappointed with some of his performances as well. North Dakota State quarterback Cole Payton standing out. But in general, I'm hearing that the defenses are really starting to win the day here. Does that line up with your view overall of the quarterback class, especially the ones that are there?
This quarterback class is a hot mess. It is garbage. There is not a lot out there. Trinidad Chambliss is somebody I'd be watching closely to see how his eligibility is, because I think I think he's going to be able to play at Ole Miss next year, which makes me kind of wonder, should he try to come out, and just forego that? But he can make a lot of money. I think Ty Simpson is somebody who has a huge gap to fill between him and Fernando Mendoza, but I think he's number 2. But the list is not great. I saw a couple lists that had Drew Aller as the 4th best quarterback in the class. They're like, yikes. And that is the old upside, well, we could mold him into a quarterback. He's big, he's physical. It is just a complete mess. If you are a quarterback, or if you are a team and you're in need of a quarterback, it is possibly one of the worst years. It's interesting because we've had some great classes and we've had some horrible classes in recent years. This one definitely leans towards the horrible class.
You know what is not horrible, though, is all the quarterbacks coming back in the sport of college football. That's awesome. I was working on a short the other day. It looks pretty good, actually, like really good. There are so many QBs out there who I would just gladly take for my team.
Who would you rather draft? This was a fun debate between Ryan and JP with the first pick was, would you rather take Katron Allen or Nick Singleton?
Ooh.
I think I'd rather have Singleton. Just the home run hitting ability he has, I think, is different.
What do you think, Danny?
I would probably lean towards Singleton.
So
what were they saying?
They said if it's a field day, it's Nick Singleton all day. And if Katron Allen was, I think JP's phrase was, if he was like a 1/10 of a second faster, then it would be there. And that if you gave Katron Allen's vision to Nick Singleton,
and
you've built the perfect back. that it's a little bit like, and Ryan said, Ryan said, I've been talking myself into thinking that I would take Allen over Singleton, even though the physical tools are not the same, just because it seems like some of the intangibles are a little bit better.
We've been saying this since IMG.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, man, I wish that he had an extra gear.
Your boy, Daryl Jackson Jr. has been showing out.
Thankfully. Did you see the streak was kept alive? For 52 straight years, Florida State has had a player in the Senior Bowl, and he was not scheduled. He was a late add to the Senior Bowl. So you kept the streak alive. It was dicey because he went to the Shrine Bowl first. And then
because there have been some players who've been doing Shrine, then Senior, and making the move over. Daryl Jackson Jr. being one of them. He's
like John Henderson big.
He's
going to get he's going to go higher than people think, I suspect.
When we were in Tallahassee for the Bama game, we had him on after the game, and I was like, oh, and he's really well-spoken. Like, he's got a great personality, and he balled out in that game. He could absolutely be somebody could find themselves a steal, somebody who could play a long time.
That was another note that one of the things for the quarterback is that the defensive lines, like the Lee Hunter, I mean, no surprise, but like Texas Tech defensive lineman Lee Hunter, Daryl Jackson Jr. stood out. Also the defensive backs and the sort of playmaking linebackers. Hey, this might be surprising. Jacob Rodriguez has been picking off quarterbacks in some of these Senior Bowl practices.
I saw he forced a fumble too. Shocker.
Yeah, big shocker there.
You said the defenses are dominating. I think even if there is good quarterback play and there were quality quarterbacks, it is much easier for a defense to just pick up and play than it is for the quarterbacks. I remember I had the Chicago Bears staff, so it was Dave Wannstedt and Ron Turner was our offensive coordinator. And I remember you're cramming things in, and they give you a condensed playbook, but it was completely different terminology, way more complex than what we were doing at Florida State. And it was like just fed through a fire hose, and you're trying to like, whoa, what am I doing? So you're thinking a lot. So really the time for the QBs to shine is either 7-on-7 or 1-on-1 drills, when you can kind of just see their arm, because if you're thinking that much, it can affect your ability to execute the offense. So I would more look at just arm talent. How are these guys throwing as opposed to how are they executing the offense? It is a lot to ask, but it is an IQ test too, that they test how much can you consume and execute in a short period of time.
TCU safety Bud Clark has been getting a lot of high praise. Pitt linebacker Kyle Lewis, another guy who's just been like a stud for a long time. Those are some of the ones. And they still have, yesterday was day 2, day 3. They've got great coverage there again. Ryan Wilson, JP Acosta there. Producer Stryker on the scene. Looks a little cold out there. They're grinding in Mobile with the first pick. Go and check out all of their coverage. The game Saturday, I believe it's around 2:30 p.m. Eastern time or so. You can watch it on NFL Network. All right. It is Thursday. It is the off season. That means that we need to take the elevator on down into the mailroom. All right, this one is just a good old classic, big old bag of mail. We had a fan jump in, leave a 5-star review, and then put a question in there. Excuse me. Subject, username, no fan for better or worse. No question for Bud. Hello, Cover 3 team. I want to start by complimenting you all on your podcast. I work in a non-sports related industry, but I found the revenue strategy discussion around college football genuinely fascinating. You all consistently do a great job providing context, and objective analysis, and it really shows. I also wanted to share a question specifically for Bud. I completely understand why you pressed pause on the Nolecast, and I appreciate the thoughtfulness behind the decision. Given the decisions that have now been made, whether we can agree with or not, how do you see Florida State moving forward from here? Do you see any signs that the staff and administration are learning from past mistakes? And what risks or pitfalls still stand out to you as the program tries to stabilize and rebuild momentum? For context, I'm a female listener and an FSU alum, and I really value the way that these conversations are handled both on Cover 3 and the Nolecast. Thanks again for the great work and for consistently raising the level of discussion around college football. Best, Laura.
I don't personally. I think like the great struggle they had in getting the GM candidates who we know they wanted to get indicates like how kind of just not organized they are behind the scenes. You can't like go undo the decisions Mike Alford made over the past 2 years. So no, I think they're largely just playing out the string, waiting for that buyout number to come down. And, we'll have to see like some of the big donors. Are you comfortable giving to the people who are currently running it right now? Both from a coach and administrative level. So no, I don't. I don't like the portal class was pretty crappy, and that's not unexpected with the actions they took to generate cash over the last 18 months, 2 years roughly. So no, I think they'll be bad again. I actually love that they have all these Friday and Monday games. Because you're going to get your Saturdays back, and like you won't just be like depressed all Saturday, right? Like,
well, if they get smoked on Friday night, it kind of ruins the weekend. Yeah,
but like at some point, like you're kind of saved by bedtime, right? Like you wake up, like maybe you're pissed over your coffee, but like then it's.
Oh no, but then Danny's got to deal with it on college football pregame.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, we don't love that, Danny, what about this was the other piece. I'm sorry. I didn't want to just throw Florida State under the bus, because I think there's a follow-up question to this that's like, okay, I hear the understanding about current leadership, within the athletic department and the football program, but like, what about the university? What about the power players? What about is there, do you feel like there is a vision for the future somewhere within that decision-making body, right? Like, is there somebody who is saying like, okay,
not currently. No, I don't.
Can I ask a question that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me? Because Norm, you said they'll wait till the buyout gets cheaper. It's still $51 million after this year, right?
Yeah.
That is a lot of money. Like, what's the difference in, I mean, I know it's $10 million or whatever the number is, but in the bigger scope of things, is it really that much? Is it significantly different?
I'll say, I don't think the people who made the call to keep Mike Norvell quite forecasted just how out everybody would be on this team. Like you talk to people who work in
fans and contributors or from inside.
It's easy to say, hey, we're going to support the guy. Like, they obviously like they played slightly better than their record as far as like from power rating standpoint. And like there's hope to run it back. Well, I think this roster is worse than last year's. Mm-hmm. Maybe meaningfully so.
I think there's probably, I'm going to give the optimistic view. I'm more of an optimist. The ACC is pretty wide open after Miami. Now, granted, you're getting teams like Virginia Tech are spending probably more. SMU is spending.
Yeah, Georgia Tech's probably spending more than you are.
Right. So you're hoping to max out Mike Norvell's coaching potential, which is one of the biggest problems that we've seen. I'm just hoping they over exceed expectations, but we did the schedule conversation. It's one of the tougher schedules in the conference. Like it is not a year to be on a hot seat if you're Mike Norvell, unless you look at it from the perspective of, hey, we could surprise and maybe win some games we weren't supposed to. But I mean, clearly the hope is you salvage things, you get a little bit better, get to 7 or 8 wins. But is that going to be enthusiastically received by the fan base, which is used to, competing for ACC titles? I don't know, but I think
not if the losses are Florida, Miami, Louisville on the road, and so you beat nobody. No, I don't think you're getting people to start buying season tickets over that again.
Right.
But like,
it is a rough sell. It's a hard sell. I've talked to a lot of Florida State fans, and I just kind of say, hey, let's hope for the best. But that's all you're doing is really, it's a hope is not a great strategy.
I'm not joking. Like a lot of FSU fans I know are like, cool, get our Saturdays back.
Like, well, what about, all right, but that's what I'm talking about, the vision. Like, is there a chicken farmer out there?
I don't think so.
Like, hey, here's what we're going to
have.
Norvell's going to crash out, and then we're going to be able to go get so-and-so, and then we're going to have this influx of cash. Like, at some point, somebody, for example, at Virginia Tech, somebody at Virginia Tech behind the scenes was like, okay, here's the deal. This is how we are going to change the way that we spend. We are going to go and get our guy, and they went out and they did it. And is that going to Virginia Tech and Florida State don't have the same goals. I think that's very fair. Florida State, I think, is they got national championship trophies. Virginia Tech, no stray here, but you've still got the empty trophy case. Like, Florida State still should have that motivation somewhere within the community, right?
Yeah, but if you're go look at Michael Alford's quotes, right? Like, bad business decisions have consequences. And if you're a donor, you're like, how in the world am I comfortable giving money to that guy? We're going to double down on facilities, like spending. Contrast that to what Keith Carter said at Ole Miss. One is very clearly right. One's wrong. Like, Ole Miss paused all their stadium upgrades to realize they had to put money into the roster. Like, winning fills the stadium.
There was a lot of excitement because Sarah Blakely and her family were at Florida State in November. She is the owner of Spanx, and she's one of Florida State's billionaire alumni. But I don't know her appetite for wanting to support the football program. She might have just been on a reunion, like seeing some of her girlfriends from school. But I know there was a lot of hope that we need a savior. We need somebody. We need a Mark Cuban. We need a Phil Knight. And those guys have way more money than Sarah Blakely. I mean, she's got a ton of money, but we need a Cody Campbell. And Florida State just doesn't have that person that's going to come in and save everything from a NIL perspective.
Yeah, I don't know.
Come on, Danny, pony up.
I think there's a got it and there's a willing to give it to the people who manage it.
Interesting. All right. Well, speaking of Mark Cuban, let's keep it rolling.
Got to talk to my buddy with the house in Utah.
Yeah, 5 Slice Rick. Username 5 Slice Rick jumped in. 5-star review said, "Hey guys, longtime listeners since the COVID Tom Allen days. I'll never forget Bud reminding us all off season that last year's team was a fluke. I really wanted him to be wrong, and he wasn't. My question is, what about talking about the COVID year being a fluke? My question is about the big buzzword from the offseason. Who is the next sleeping giant like Indiana? I actually think Indiana is a totally unique case, almost a college football anomaly. It's clearly the top public school in the state, a founding member of a flagship conference like the Big Ten, in a solid recruiting region like the Midwest, with a large and financially successful alumni base that genuinely cares about sports. And yet, over 130 plus years, Indiana has never even lucked into a short stretch of real football relevance. Service academies, Ivies, and Minnesota all had pre-World War II success. Cal won a national title. Mississippi State even had a successful season. So what is the difference? Oh, wait, Cal won a national title. Mississippi State had relevant seasons. Indiana had none of that ever until now. So I don't really think there is another clear sleeping giant like Indiana. I think they're more of a historical anomaly, but I'm curious what you guys think. Thanks, and go Hoosiers. 5 Slice Rick.
I got one. Vanderbilt. I think this year is huge for Vanderbilt. I mean, they just had their first 10-win season in history. They were in the playoff discussion. They have never been relevant in college football. And I do think, they just landed Jared Curtis, so clearly there's a desire and there's an opportunity for them to fill in from where Diego Pavia left off. He is an uber-talented young player. They've created an atmosphere that they've never had in the history of Vanderbilt football by putting some money into the stadium, creating a home field advantage. Clark Lee is a coach you could believe in, that I think is an outstanding coach. Our buddy Barton is doing a phenomenal job of finding some of that talent, similar to what Cignetti's done at Indiana. But I think this is a huge, and I'm not saying they're going to win the national championship or even get back to the playoff, but I do think this is a huge justification year. We do when we play our skins game in golf, sometimes if you get a skin, you think you have a birdie, you have to justify it by parring the next hole. I think this is a big justification year for Vanderbilt to show that the last year and 2 years really weren't an anomaly, that those are going to be the new norm at Vanderbilt. But I do think they would be a program that probably does have a lot of money behind it that maybe never was there and never realized, but all of a sudden there's enthusiasm. They're getting some support. I think they could be somebody. Now it's It's tough. It's not easy when you're trying to go against the likes of LSU and Ole Miss and Bama and Georgia and everybody else. But we said the same thing about Indiana going against Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon. So I think Vanderbilt would be one of those potential. And Nashville is a phenomenal city to recruit to, like just to get players to come to.
So I like with the rev share era, right? Like I kind of look at it as like, full NIL plus portal 23 and 24. Rev share era started in 25, obviously. With the talent being spread out as much as it is, I think it's much more possible because you don't have to be as good as prior national championship teams to do it. Mm-hmm. I think like that really increases the variance a lot, especially like in a single season, scenario. If you got a bunch of veterans to come play together who all knew each other, you added some special pieces around, like especially like Indiana had the number 1 pick at quarterback. That's a huge differentiator for them. So in looking at that, I don't know if I can pinpoint like one specific team. I think Vandy by Danny there is a really good call. What about the Hokies, right? Like could they do it in year 2? Probably not, but like I guess it's possible. I think so many more teams do have a shot, especially like before there were so many inherent advantages for your traditional good teams, right? Like you could be pretty incompetent and still put a good product on the field, like administratively. And now that's not the case. Like now, if you're incompetent administratively, you get punished.
Yeah.
And like other people go ahead and elevate off that. I still think Indiana this year was a very special blend of things coming together at the right time. Coaching staff continuity, like they didn't lose anybody off last year's staff. They didn't lose anybody off this year's staff really either. But, getting the quarterback piece, I think the old thing is overplayed as far as like that's their main advantage, but it certainly allows them to run a pretty great variety of scheme. They don't play a lot of young guys on that team. So it's probably hard to replicate their formula, especially just like with all the factors came together. But I think it's doable. And maybe in a different way, but I think we will probably have more teams that rise up that have never won a national title before. I think that's actually pretty cool.
Vanderbilt and Indiana, the common thread there for me is coaching, just getting the coach right.
Yeah.
Truly special coaching individuals, obviously on very different ends of their careers between Clark Lee and Kurt Cignetti, but I think everyone recognizes that it's something special. I do think that if you're trying to look at the way that Five Slice Rick explained the Indiana phenomenon, Vanderbilt is a smaller school. Vanderbilt is a private school. Vanderbilt's a harder school to get into. It's a harder school to get players into. I think that when I'm looking for anything that's in that sleeping giant type category, I'm looking for somebody that can cast a little bit of a wider net. I mean, could Pat Fitzgerald do it at Michigan State?
So I was going more from Vanderbilt's perspective that a sleeping giant is somebody who's never been good. Like Michigan State had that run with D'Antonio and they're going to Rose Bowls. Same thing with Virginia Tech. They were playing for a national championship 25 years ago.
What about Virginia?
Virginia could be. They had a breakout season. I think it's a big year for Tony Elliott for Virginia to show that wasn't a all-in year with the portal, and they did go all in, and they had a lot of veteran experience on that team. But I think Virginia would be a good one.
That's like another. They had to get their alignment right. They had to make sure that everybody understood which way we were moving. I mean, the idea of leveraging these large alumni bases in a very strategic way it's not world breaking, but it's also very carefully orchestrated right now. I mean, like the thinking that has gone into making sure that you are connecting the dots with your corporate sponsorships. I mean, you need people that are going to be able to actually make all that happen. A lot of fans sit around and like, oh yeah, we've got money, but you need someone who actually understands the mechanics and the levers to pull and how to be able to get from point A to point B, make all those connections happen. I think that's where a lot of stuff for programs falls between the cracks. It's just everybody's stretched so thin. Everybody's so distracted. You're always like chasing whatever you think is the next new thing. It takes a lot of focus. And that's why I think the word alignment is a big one for the idea of the next Indiana, because everybody around Indiana points to the alignment part as the reason why Indiana was able to really get things moving. Once they got the hire of Cignetti, they were told which way we're going to move. We're all going to pull on the rope in the same direction, and they've been able to make it happen. So super, super impressive on their part. All right. Do you think it's fair to say there won't be like to search for the next Indiana is a little bit like Indiana is an anomaly?
I mean, we're in this new era though. It's so young and we've only been in the portal NIL era for 5 years. And it happened pretty quick, which gives me hope that somebody else could do it. I mean, and Texas Tech is one that somebody brought up in here, and I think that paid a lot of dividends early, and they're a program that had some success, but they have the support, they've got the backing, they've got the desire. I think what they were missing was the quarterback. And guess what they did? They went out and got the quarterback. So I think if you see Texas Tech have another good year and they're back in the Big 12, I think they would fit this bill. But I think that's what's kind of exciting. Seeing Michigan State invest and them, what is it? $400 million gift they got? So I think there is an appetite. And I think Indiana kind of set an example that this is not impossible, that you could do it. But I do think they did have the perfect pairing of finding the coach and a generational type quarterback.
Yep. Coming up on the other side, in the name of the recent college basketball news, someone wants to know if a college football team could bring back a current pro, what would be the team that would benefit the most from adding one player? Who would be the team? Who would be the player? And more next.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ. Streaming free anywhere you are.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast, 8:50 a.m. Eastern time. Our guy, Nick, he pulled up to the tailgate. He got his spot, and he said, mailbag question. If each college team could add back one former player who is currently in the NFL for next season, which program improves the most, and who is the player?
Oh, wait, hold on. All right, let's take this from the perspective of any NFL player, right? Or does that have to be from their former team?
I think it has to be from their program, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Because I think the obvious answer is Josh Allen, Georgia, if it was not from there. Like,
no.
Give Georgia a real NFL quarterback.
But I was going to – Matthew Stafford is going to be the MVP. That was my first thought. Now, he's older, right, so it's hard to envision. But if you just put Matthew Stafford on Georgia, they're probably national champion.
Yeah. Nobody's beating them.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes to Texas Tech.
Oh,
right. Exactly.
That's a good one.
Oh,
Make it happen, Cody Campbell.
The one thing that Texas Tech was missing from being able to really make a run at the national championship. If Patrick Mahomes was the quarterback instead of Baron Morton, that's
currently in the NFL. Some people said Cam Newton to Auburn. There are some
players
players
in the NFL.
Current NFL player. The
I saw Cam throw
crazy.
Last week. Like he can still throw.
I was trying to think of defense. Myles Garrett back at A&M with Mike Elko could make a massive difference. I mean, he could be the type of player that could make them a national championship contender. I mean, they're already close. They were in the playoffs. If you would have added him to that mix, I would imagine him just ragdolling opposing offensive tackles. He does it in the NFL. Right. I think he could wreak havoc on that side. What about Saquon Barkley back at Penn State?
I don't think that dramatically changes the entire team. Because that's the other thing is we got to think about the Delta, right? We got to think about who really takes them to the next level. Because Texas Tech, as I mentioned, already had a pretty high floor. Patrick Mahomes takes them over the top. I don't think dropping Saquon on Penn State's team this year dramatically changes the entire.
Pretty special.
I know.
I mean, he did kind of carry the Eagles to it. Now they had a complete team, but he did elevate Jalen Hurts. I think Rocco Becht could be that much better if he was handing off to Saquon Barkley.
What if it was Micah Parsons?
Ooh, similar to the Myles Garrett.
Are we basically locked into edge rushers and quarterbacks? That's another interesting. Like, if we're going to talk about one player who could dramatically improve a team, that one player would have to either be a quarterback or an edge rusher.
I think the other two quarterback situations here, Daniel Jones back to Duke, given what just happened.
Right now, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then Trevor back to Clemson.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Like a massively different team with Trevor Lawrence than Chris Vizina.
Yeah.
Yeah, because again, that's the other piece of this 2026. So I guess it would be Brendan Sorsby to Patrick Mahomes, but still Brendan Sorsby to Patrick Mahomes.
No offense to Sorsby.
No offense to Brendan Sorsby. What about teams? What about the teams?
What about Carolina? Drake May.
Drake May?
Yeah.
I don't know. Belichick probably wouldn't want him to tie to the Patriots.
He's a Patriot.
It's a little dicey right now. He'd probably say, no, we're good. Things are a little bit contentious there.
Yeah. Who else is on that like lower end of team? Might be like but then you add one player who's currently in the NFL.
Well, like if you put Josh Allen back in Wyoming.
How much could Josh Allen do at Wyoming?
Probably a lot.
You could probably get him into the championship. He'd get him the college football playoff, I would hope. Although he did throw a lot of picks. Maybe he would take too many risks, but he could run over some dudes. He would get him to the playoff.
If you put Baker back at Oklahoma, like they're probably national title favorite, right?
Yeah.
You know,
it's a good one.
Jameis
back to Florida State.
Yeah. Yep. That would be big. That'd be big.
Somebody said Josh Allen threw 3 picks against Nebraska and blew the cover.
Like if Brock Purdy went back to at Iowa State, they'd probably take that right now.
Ooh, yeah.
Heavily.
Yeah.
Which Alabama quarterback would you want? Hurts or Price?
Ooh.
Tua, I would not want Tua. His confidence is shot, and he's health issues.
Derrick Henry. Forget the quarterback. Let's just put Derrick Henry.
There you go.
Alabama
still going strong.
We've solved Alabama's running issues.
Yes.
Shador back to Colorado. He's a Pro Bowler now, guys.
Yeah, that's right.
You are factually correct, Bud Elliott. He is. That is 100%.
But that was Deion's best 2 years. Were with Shador. I think it would absolutely. They would take him back in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Who? Any others come to mind right here?
Burrow to LSU.
Burrow to LSU next year. So you're going from Sam Leavitt to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow in Lane Kiffin's offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Is there any team that would not take a quarterback who has an NFL starting quarterback?
Well, that's
Texas.
Yeah, they would not take Quinn Ewers back.
Who is the current
Quinn Ewers is an NFL starter?
No, but I'm just saying like
just player in the NFL.
And if who
I don't think Notre Dame would take back Riley Leonard
for CJ Carr.
Yeah, I think that what they've seen in CJ Carr, they're feeling pretty good. And he's more
they clearly upgraded there. I mean, like among teams that have a guy who's actually like a starting NFL QB.
Okay, but I think the idea is just in general. Anybody.
Yeah, can you get somebody back to help you out?
I do not think that there is a former Texas quarterback in the NFL right now who Steve Sarkisian would take over Arch.
Do you think Ohio State would take back CJ Stroud or Justin Fields? I don't know.
I would take CJ Stroud over Julian Sayin.
I mean, the dude was pretty. I mean, I know he kind of cratered down the end when things got rougher, but I don't know. I mean, I would.
Are you talking about Stroud or Sayin? Because they both did.
But is it the difference? Is it improves the most? Like, that's the question. Which program improves the most? I don't know if you improve that much more.
He's got to be like, what, 26, 25 years old now?
Yeah.
Stroud?
That's a big difference.
It is.
Yeah. The experience. I think CJ Stroud would absolutely carve up a college game right now.
But Julian Sain just carved up everybody until the end.
Michael Penix back to Indiana.
Yeah,
I would take him over Josh Hoover.
Right?
You know? Would you take Cam Ward over Darian Mensah?
yes.
I think you'd have to.
Okay. Who else would be on the no former
Bo Nix. Would you take back Bo Nix?
over Dante Moore?
I'm gonna take like 27-year-old Bo Nix or over 20-year-old Dante Moore. Like
Even with all the ankle surgeries that he's denying and Sean Payton just brought out to light. Did you see that story?
No, I didn't.
Bo Nix held a press conference to call out Sean Payton, said he shouldn't be talking about my surgeries. Yeah, got a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah.
Wow.
I love it. This is what we do on mailbags, Joey.
Man, this is
a
fun.
real conversation. Will Levis.
I guess Will Levis would be over Kenny Minchie.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Will Levis over Kenny Minchie.
Yep.
Oh boy. Whew. Now we're really starting to. I mean, I would take it, but what about? Let's see.
Jackson Dart to Ole Miss. Trinidad Chambliss played really well this year.
So
I've been accused of being a Jackson Dart hater, so I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but
like
I don't know if there's that much of a significant improvement. Trinidad Chambliss was outstanding.
Like non QB edition.
Oh, Dak Prescott to Mississippi State. Yeah, that would be a great upgrade.
That's a great call.
Yeah.
Like George Pickens back to Georgia.
Does Ohio State take any wide receiver back?
Over Jeremiah? No.
Well, they lost Tate though. I mean,
right.
Yeah. If all of a sudden Jeremiah is your 2, that's
right. I mean,
JS. So like you bring back JSN.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun thought.
Kirk Cousins of Michigan State all day long. They would take that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good call.
TJ Watt to Wisconsin.
If you USC, would you rather have Sam Darnold or Caleb Williams?
Caleb.
I don't know. I thought we were talking about all that veteran experience, but it's through a lot more. It's playing in the Super Bowl.
We're talking about 2026. If Lincoln Riley's the head coach, I want to have Caleb Williams rather than
to run his
Darnold.
system. Fair.
Yeah. Be able
And
to,
like if Caleb had the Seattle's defense and Darnold had Chicago's defense, does Seattle make the playoffs? Because like you can't assume the Bears defense is going to get as lucky as it did this year.
Right.
I mean, it was like turnover like crazy stuff.
Wisconsin or NC State with Russell Wilson. Both of them would take him.
Right now. No, hold on. Right now.
Yes.
I would rather have CJ Bailey.
Ooh.
If we're talking about for the 2026 season, I would rather have CJ Bailey than Russell Wilson.
How old's Russ?
Mr. Unlimited.
He's getting up there.
He's close to me. He's not that much younger.
Yeah, he's got to be like late 30s, right?
What if you're Michigan? Would you rather have JJ McCarthy or Underwood? With what we know now, which is JJ McCarthy has not been all that he was cracked up to be. I think they might stick with Underwood.
It's kind of like the Texas situation with Arch.
Right.
Yeah.
But Arch is way better than Underwood.
I think coaches might prefer the floor of McCarthy.
Yeah. And again, this is the college. I mean, that whole
let's bet on the ceiling of Underwood. Yeah.
Right. I mean, we're kind of flipping it because Cignetti did uncover a new thought process going production over potential. The NFL wants the potential upside, but in college, you want to know what you're getting. It's a good question. I like it.
Yeah.
Nick.
Very fun conversation. Thank you, Nick, for jumping in. Back to the big old bag of mail. This one is a little bit of a conversation that we touched on in the thick of the college football playoffs. So now that we've got a little bit more room to let it breathe, D Ham jumped in, 5-star review, and said, why are we not reseeding after every round? Shouldn't the top seed get the best draw throughout? I remember we sort of like discussed it a little bit, but thoughts on reseeding in the college football playoff?
For whatever reason, that is my least concern when it comes to the college football playoff.
Sure.
It doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I actually prefer it because from the bracket standpoint, when I was doing NFL brackets and you had to, which one gets which, and you had to figure it out, who gets home field and manipulating those. I mean, I guess the question does make sense. Shouldn't you favor the 1 seed? Maybe it adds a little more intrigue to the regular season and prioritizing how good of a regular season you had. It just, I don't give it much thought. It doesn't bother me at all. Like, look at Miami's path was probably the hardest. I remember arguing with Tom about that, and they were the 10 seed. Could it have gotten harder?
I do think we need to reseed if we go to 16, for the reason of anything you can do to impart more advantage to the team that earns that top seed helps to keep the regular season more meaningful.
And if you get 2 home games potentially,
right?
If you do them on site, then that second round becomes. Then you do want to prioritize that, like the NFL does.
Yeah,
I think in college sports, bracket luck is great. I mean, this is chaos. Like we talk about, especially where the margins are thinner than ever. If the difference between the 10 seed and the 2 seed is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, then don't overweight finishing in that 2 spot when a selection committee is going to be the one that determines who gets the 2 and who's lined up all along the way. Make the decision, and then that's the end of it. And we just roll it out there and see what happens. I like the chaos that we get without reseeding in college sports. I understand why they do it in the NFL. I don't love it, but because like you said, Danny, it's kind of confusing. I like a bracket. I like to fill out a bracket and sort of predict what the matchups are going to be like. But I think that in college sports, I like the no reseeding that we've got. And I think I would prefer that moving forward. Coming up on the other side, more of your questions and our answers, including who can go from worst to first and more. Next.
This isn't just combat. It's cinema.
Ready or not, here I come. Let's go! Are you not entertained?
The new home of UFC, Paramount Plus.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast. This question, before we got started, comes from Zach. Yes, welcome back to the Pac-12 mailbag question. Where do you slot the Pac-12 in the group of 6? Is it stronger than the American, or does it just take the Mountain West's place as the number 2? Yes, for those of you who might not be sort of resettled and recalibrated, and we'll do a special conference realignment reset episode when we get closer to the actual transition date. The Pac-12 will be welcoming in a host of teams from the Mountain West to be able to reconstitute the Pac-12. Washington State and Oregon State now being able to have a full league that will be deemed a conference. They'll play a conference championship. And a lot of those are going to be on our networks. We're excited to be able to bring those to you on CBS and CBS Sports Network. So, to Zach's question, as you sort of look at the hierarchy of the group of 6, where do you think the Pac-12 will slot in?
So, I think it is slightly below the American, but I do think it's better than a Mountain West.
Better than the Sun Belt?
Yeah.
What?
I think the Sun Belt's pretty bad, to be honest.
Ooh. Is that because of the way that like the food chain has kind of gobbled up the Sun Belt?
Yeah.
It's tough.
God, what a rough run it's been for the MAC, too.
Oh,
the
God.
MAC had a run when it was like when they had PJ Fleck at Western Michigan, when you had Northern Illinois was good. There were some years when they were the teams from, the group of 5, and they just have been completely diminished.
Yeah, the Sun Belt has not like lost any team. They haven't been picked apart the way that the Mountain West was, but so they at least still have those passionate fan bases, right? They're still leaning into all their traditions, and fans of those programs are still able to grab a hold things, but what they can't grab a hold of is their star players, because the all Sun Belt team feels like it gets picked apart basically every season. For those listening at home, who might not have a computer nearby. So Oregon State, Washington State, obviously, they are going to be welcoming in Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State, Utah State, and Texas State. So Texas Tech, so Sunbelt does lose one. Texas State leaving the Sunbelt to go join the new Pac-12. I mean, when you're getting San Diego State with Sean Lewis, when you're getting Utah State with Bronco, I mean, I thought that we had a pretty decent Matt Entz season at Fresno State. Colorado State just went and hired Jim Mora Jr. Boise State's always going to be Boise. Kind of feels like they lopped off a lot of the programs that you can be excited about in terms of investment and sort of pushing this thing into the future.
On the MAC piece, I do think cord cutting has hurt them.
Huh.
Like their best run was kind of in like 03 to 14 time.
Mm-hmm.
And cord cutting really started to hit at the very tail end of that, you know? And I think they were largely benefiting from, we had fewer channels, right? Everybody had cable. Like they were something that you would just kind of channel surf. It's like, oh, cool. It's a high scoring game. There's football on. I'll watch it. Now, like, how often do you guys channel surf, right? You have to actually seek something out to watch it. So that's kind of my suspicion there.
That's an interesting theory. I like that. So American still holding that spot. American also, and I don't want to nitpick here, but the American has a gulf from the top of the conference to the bottom of the conference.
Yeah.
So if not that all these, I think that in the Pac-12, the way that I see it, they're maybe a little bit more condensed, from the top to the bottom, but the Americans' top tier, you would take over the Pac-12's top tier, correct?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Okay. And of course, yes, Gonzaga joining the conference for basketball. If they ever field a football team, sure, you'll have the option. This question, 8:38 a.m. Eastern time, mailbag question, BL 1632. Do you guys still believe in, quote, championship or bust? Some fans are saying that for Oregon, and I think it's ridiculous. 12-team playoff makes it too hard to expect a championship. Is championship or bust an unrealistic expectation for teams in 2026 and beyond?
I think it's ridiculous for this Oregon team, but I can't rule out it like being something that is a real expectation for maybe a certain team that like spent a ton of money to bring back a bunch of veterans, keep them out of the NFL, added some pieces, like clear like a shove the chips in the middle of the table type situation. I don't look at this Oregon team as like so much better on paper than everybody else that if they fail to win the whole thing, that it's a failure.
I guess that's the championship or bust is the one that you kind of have problems. I do think their goal should be to win the national championship. And I think anything less of that is not reaching your goal. But if you make it to the college football playoff again and you get a win, but then you come up short in whatever round, I don't think it's a failure. But I do think that Oregon fans should have an expectation of we could win it all. I guess the championship or bust is where it's like, that's where the terminology is a little harsh.
Yeah. What about the mentality in a vacuum? Championship. It seems like the question is,
I think there's like 10 to 15 programs, maybe 10, closer to 10 than there is to 15 should feel like LSU. You're telling me they don't think national championship or bust, even in the first year of Lane Kiffin? Ohio State thinks that every year. I guarantee you ask Ohio State fans or Ryan Day, they feel like this year was a bust.
Yeah.
I think they have like return on investment expectations at LSU and quick ones. I don't think they have like massive, VC exit expectations in year one.
The question from the tailgate, define or bust. That the season is a disappointment. That right. It's like, you're just like, man, that was nothing that we can take away from that.
Like if LSU, which has not gone to the playoff yet since what, the Burrow year, if they make like the 8 or the 4, they're disappointed in that outcome. I don't think so.
I mean, and Gozar brought up a good point. Like Phil Knight's not getting any younger. That is one reason I think for Oregon fans and for Phil Knight, he's thinking championship or bust. Like his window is closing. Yeah. He's not getting any younger. I think he's absolutely with that mindset. Like I think like last year, I think Texas Tech was college football playoff or bust.
Yes.
And they made it. If they would have fallen short of the college football playoff, they would have felt like and to Bud's point about the money, like that was money that was just wasted. But I think they felt pretty good. You know, we got there, we showed up, we got an opportunity. Now we know what we got. I still don't know if it's national championship or bust for Texas Tech, but they still did invest more money. They went out and got one of the highest paid quarterbacks. I think it's the same expectation. But I don't know if it's championship or bust still for Texas Tech. But I think Oregon's been knocking on the door for a while. Like this is several years where they've been close. I think they want to see that they haven't hit a plateau.
I think in the spirit of the question, from sort of looking at the fan angle of what would mark a successful season, I'm leaning a little bit on college basketball here, but small sample size. But given what we've seen from the 2 years of the 12-team playoff, I think making the 4 means that you're in it for the national title. And here's what I mean by that. The margins of all of our college football playoff semifinals in the 12-team bracket have been wildly small. Ohio State beat Texas by a double-digit margin, but that's because of a fumble, scoop, and score the other way. Texas was driving to tie the game. The Penn State-Notre Dame game came down to a field goal. Well, I guess not all of them. Excuse me. I forgot about Indiana-Oregon. That was not a close game. But then Ole Miss-Miami, right? That one was an absolute classic with the Carson Beck game-winning touchdown. In college basketball, in the NCAA tournament, you accept the chaos and the randomness, but if you make it to the Final Four, you feel like it was a successful season where you had a shot at the national title. I think for these teams that feel championship or bust, if you make it to that semifinal, you feel like you've got a chip in a chair. You're sitting at the table, and then whatever happens, happens. It's football. It's weird. It's one game. You might not play well, or there might be a call or an interception or something that doesn't go your way. But as a fan, when you are determining whether or not it's been a season that has met your expectations or not, if you have national championship expectations and you make it to the semifinal, to me, that feels like you've at least met the expectation of being in the mix for it at the very, very end of the season.
I think that's fair. One of the other aspects is you can make the 8 without winning a game.
Right.
You can't make the 4.
Correct. Which means you need to win.
I think that's fair.
You need to win 1 or 2 playoff games to be able to feel like you've gone
to make
there.
Or you will have beaten a real team.
Yeah.
Like you can make the 8 without beating a team that a lot of our fan base is going to say doesn't even belong in the playoff, right?
Yeah, like Oklahoma. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
Appreciate the question. Appreciate you jumping in and getting the conversation early. Let's go we got
a shorty.
Yeah, we got one last one. Common NFL topic is who can go from worst to first. And a little bit later on, we'll do a bigger episode called Turnaround Teams, where we try to identify teams that are going to have the biggest jump. But let's just sort of scatterbrain this right now. Who do you think can go from disaster season to bowl game or better in 2026?
So how are we defining disaster? Like 4-8 or worse in the P5?
Yeah, I think you're a power conference team. You thought you were going to be in the bowl season, and then you ultimately spent holidays at home.
Ooh, okay. How about Stanford?
How about Oklahoma State?
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly. That's a better one than Stanford.
Do you think that do you think Purdue has a year 2 bump under Barry Odom?
I think it's possible. They lost Nitro Tuggle, right? So he's pretty good.
Yeah. Wisconsin was 4-8, and their schedule's about to get a lot more manageable.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's one that stood out. Let's see.
Is Florida count 4-8 to
Yeah.
7 or 8 wins? I think
Yeah.
that's a pretty reasonable expectation.
West Virginia, I think.
I don't know. Tough to take that temperature right now.
I just think you got some of the teams in front of them kind of maybe falling off a little bit.
Yeah, sure. A little bit more real estate.
And second year under Rich Rod, I think he's still good at doing what he does. Who else?
Syracuse?
I mean, look, I guess you can't rule it out.
Steve Angeli,
right.
Steve Angeli comes back. Steve Angeli's healthy. That totally changes the offense, which was down to a 4th string lacrosse player by the middle of the season. So there's
I don't know. Without Tusi, I don't know.
He was putting Fran Brown on blast.
He was. Could have been the missing piece.
Could have
Who
been
else
the
here?
missing piece.
Yeah, I think in the SEC, probably Florida's the best chance. I could see South Carolina rebounding to make a bowl.
From 4-8.
Yeah.
We said Virginia Tech, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure. Yep. Well, again, a little bit later on in the offseason, we'll have one of our staples is turnaround teams, where we will do a deeper dive into some of the candidates to be able to have big bounce back seasons, the reasons why, and so much more. We look forward to that. And we thank you, everybody, for jumping in on this mailbag episode. Remember, you can come and join us live. You can reach out to us individually, and you can go leave us a 5-star review. And in that review, you put a mailbag question. We'll tackle it in a future mailbag episode. And you can follow him on Twitter at Danny Kanell. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow me at Chip _Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.